This is a generational heist. Of course, we just seen the Milwaukee Bucks fall to the Indiana Pacers in round one of the NBA playoffs. And with Giannis Antetokounmpo's name swirling around in trade rumors, we get to see if the Chicago Bulls have a package strong enough to pull off a generational heist with the Milwaukee Bucks. Hello, my name is Isaias Jackson Jr. Thank you guys so much for tuning into Bulls Digest. We got to get into all the news and notes with Giannis Antetokounmpo's name swirling around in trade rumors. And if the Chicago Bulls have enough to put together a package to put Giannis Antetokounmpo in a Chicago Bulls jersey. But first, 67.5% of you guys are not subscribed. 32.5% of you guys are. We appreciate you guys on both sides of the field. Look, it's Monday. This is the start of the weekday blues. But here on Bulls Digest, we like to be sunshiny and happy every day. We want to give that to you all day, every day. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we will do that for you. Let's jump right into the NBA trade idea that sends Giannis Antetokounmpo to the Chicago Bulls. One recent NBA trade idea sends Milwaukee Bucks star Giannis Antetokounmpo to the Chicago Bulls amid blockbuster trade rumors. Of course, we've been seeing that a lot. Huge shout out to Shaq, who's been really, really great at covering the trade. Well, pretty much the trade rumors with Giannis Antetokounmpo. And just looking at it here, Milwaukee Bucks star Giannis Antetokounmpo is already involved in serious NBA trade rumors after their first round exit to the Indiana Pacers. The Greek Freak played phenomenally, averaging 33 points, 15 rebounds, and 6 assists, despite being sent home at the hands of a bum named Tyrese Halliburton. I'm sorry, that was uncalled for. I'm an Indiana Pacers hater. I'm sorry. I just got to get it out of my system. But after being sent home at the hands of Tyrese Halliburton, and a season winner in Game 5, of course. This marks the Bucks' third straight first-round exit and the second at the hands of the Indiana Pacers in the last two seasons. The Milwaukee Bucks have failed to get to the Eastern Conference Finals since capturing the elusive 2024 championship with Giannis Antetokounmpo being named Finals MVP. So it's been a while, and even then, there was problems with the Milwaukee Bucks. Of course, we've seen Giannis Antetokounmpo fail in numerous occasions in the playoffs with Milwaukee, a couple first-round exits. There was a couple times they got stumped in the second round as well. And if it wasn't Giannis Antetokounmpo, it was Mike Budenholzer at the time. Of course, they went on to win a championship, and then Mike Budenholzer still ended up getting the boot as well. So, amid trade rumors, NBC Chicago's Logan Bearden proposed a trade that sends Giannis Antetokounmpo to the Chicago Bulls in one of the biggest trades in NBA history. The Bulls will certainly be giving up a major haul to get one of the sport's greatest players. Of course, just looking at it here, the Bucks will receive Kobe White, Josh Giddey, Matas Buzelis, Patrick Williams, a 2026 first-round pick via Portland. Of course, the 1 through 14 protected as well, the lottery protected. And the 2025 and 31 own first-round picks as well. And on top of that, the Bulls will receive Giannis Antetokounmpo. So the Bulls have to give up a great amount of their future. Decent amount of first-round picks, Kobe White, Josh Giddey, Matas Buzelis, who you just scooped up in last year's NBA draft, and Patrick Williams, who you just paid big bucks to, who, quite frankly, you're not going to cry if you see Patrick Williams go in a trade at all. But you're giving up a whole lot for Giannis Antetokounmpo here. And now the biggest question is that going to be enough? Of course that's going to be enough. That's pretty much that's rebuild mode for the Milwaukee Bucks. You're getting a lot of young stars with that. Kobe White and Josh Giddey right there, just being the 1-2 punch. You don't know what's going to happen with Damian Lillard now that we're playing in the role of if this trade is to happen. You don't know what's going to happen with Damian Lillard. Of course, he's dealing with his injuries as well. But when you're gonna be racking up a whole lot of guards if you're the Milwaukee Bucks making this trade. And on top of that, you still get some youth there with Patrick Williams and Matas Buzelis, who has shown a whole lot of growth as the season progressed this year. As a Chicago Bulls fan, is this worth it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now, if you're hearing from Nikola Vucevic, you're hearing somebody that wants to win, a guy that is hearing from the organization and hearing that they want to go forth and try their absolute hardest to make this team competitive as soon as possible. Nikola Vucevic, although he says he believes in this team, you're not really going to be expecting to see Nikola Vucevic. You're not going to be expecting him to come back anytime soon. However, you bring in Giannis. You just lost your core. You just lost your youth in that trade? What are you going to be circling around Giannis Antetokounmpo for help? Who is going to be there to help Giannis Antetokounmpo? Because you're not going to be doing a whole lot there with Dallin Terry coming out here to come through and help the likes of Giannis Antetokounmpo. You're not going to be encouraging a Nikola Vucevic to stay, coming through with a Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think you're going to be just putting him there on an island if you trade for Giannis, if you're the Chicago Bulls. Goes back to how the Phoenix Suns went with their trade. And I was totally against the Phoenix Suns trade as well. And the reason why I compare this is because they got rid of Mikal Bridges and Cameron Johnson and some first round picks as well to get Kevin Durant. You just got rid of your youth. Although Devin Booker is still young in himself, now the youth is in New York. They're with the Knicks in terms of Mikal Bridges. Now you still see Cameron Johnson still trying to work his way around in Brooklyn. But with that trade, you were in the finals. You lost to Giannis Antetokounmpo with the roster that you had. And although they took a step back as the season progressed, the very next season, you got rid of him. You brought in Kevin Durant, who is a star, who is a legend. And then, unfortunately, you see them become, in terms of the Phoenix Suns, become way worse than what they already are. That's the last thing I want to see for the Chicago Bulls, is to give away their youth. You're building something great here. And you can build around Giannis. Giannis is definitely a generational talent that you can build around. And yes, he is a guy that can bring in some free agency help. There could be a lot of guys that can see Giannis making his mark out there in Chicago and want to go out there. One of the examples being Dame Lillard. Dame Lillard of getting traded to the Milwaukee Bucks. Although he says that wasn't kind of his go-to choice, he loves to play with Giannis. Doesn't mind playing with Giannis one bit. And these are Damian Lillard's words himself. So I do think bringing in Giannis hurts a whole lot more than it helps the Chicago Bulls, because now your whole franchise takes a step back. Yes, you're building around Giannis, but however, Giannis has definitely gone past his prime. He's touching 30. You're going to get a whole lot of great work from Giannis. Yes, you are, but what is that going to contribute to? Giannis himself, is it going to bring you to the playoffs? And is it going to give you far in the playoffs, as you've seen in his tenure with Milwaukee? It is a lot that you're losing, and I think it's very little of what you're gaining from Giannis Antetokounmpo if you make this trade here. And we can just look at his graphics right here, just looking at his stats so far. 30 points per game, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, contributes a whole lot. I mean, this man does absolutely everything on the floor. Which is why my next question is, if you see him that frustrated, if you see him this frustrated with Milwaukee, what makes you think this is going to change if he is going to go to Chicago and he has no help? There is nothing being built around Giannis Antetokounmpo. You have to take another couple years to make something like this work. And once you get rid of the guys that, quite frankly, is doing great work with the franchise right now to build the franchise up with, in terms of what Kobe White and Josh Giddey is doing for the franchise, for them to go into their prime and to work with what they have, with the team that they have, with Montes Buzelis, Patrick Williams, Nikola Vucevic will be substituted. We will find another name in that center position come the offseason. But you're looking at the bench as well, from the Jalen Smiths, the Zach Collins, the Trey Jones, if he potentially does come back. There's a whole lot of youth on this team. There's work that's being done here. It's a lot that's being built on this team. Why tear that down? We've seen that a decent amount. We looked at the Los Angeles Clippers. We can look at the only team that I can definitely see, I've definitely seen it have some great success with, is, of course, the Toronto Raptors when they traded for Kawhi Leonard. And, of course, they went on to win the championship. However, you're looking at the Oklahoma City Thunder in the past when they tried to grab somebody like a Paul George. You've seen the likes of Los Angeles Clippers. You've seen the likes of the Phoenix Suns. I don't think making a move this drastic is going to help the Chicago Bulls in the long run. But what do you think? Do you think a trade like this could bring Giannis Antetokounmpo to the Chicago Bulls? And do you think the Chicago Bulls need Giannis Antetokounmpo? Do you think this package is worth the while if it means having Giannis Antetokounmpo in a Chicago Bulls uniform? Thank you guys so much for tuning into Bulls Digest, and we'll hear from you guys next time.